Previously on The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon.
Name's Daryl Dixon.
Well, it's a good thing she didn't say her name was Nancy from Montclair. Quinn is bit in this episode, and Quinn does die. So he's like, next time, Daryl, next time I will, And I thought that was really cool. And obviously, if you've seen some of the footage of Season 2, you know that he stays here. There was so much jam-packed in this finale. Amazing finale. I mean, right? Like, amazing finale. Oh man, Daryl's finally gaining on Madame Genet. This is time. It's about to go down. Yeah, that's bull crap. Hey guys, it's Dan, your host, your Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for the Walking Dead universe, and in today's video, we're going to be doing our very first review for the second season of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, subtitled The Book of Carol. This is my review for Season 2, Episode 1, titled The Gentillesse des Étrangers, or in English, The Kindness of Stranger. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, Season 2. We're going to be doing our first review for Season 2, guys. The Walking Dead universe is back. The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon is back after a year hiatus of the show. And yeah, we got our first episode, so we're going to delve into everything. We're going to talk about it, give our thoughts, and, kind of discuss what we all thought about the first episode. Now, I've gotten a lot of reactions from you guys, of course, over the last few hours. I watched this episode, a few hours back, kind of, took some time to sit on it, really tried to, gather some thoughts as, well as I possibly could. And this is kind of what I've come up with for this episode is I thought it was pretty good, like it was pretty good. Yeah, it had its moments. However, I will say it was like exactly what I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing about this that was like, "Oh my god," like not really. To me, like when I watched this, I was kind of just like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought it would be. Maybe even a little bit less, a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was a fine episode. It worked. I think it did its job. The main purpose of this episode is to get Carol from where she is, of course, looking for Daryl, to flying the plane, and well, actually, we didn't even see it land. That's next episode. I kind of thought we'd see them at least get there, but no, they're doing that in episode 2. It was a little more slow-paced than I thought it would be. I kind of thought that we would get there at least at the end of the episode and kind of get an initiation, but we have to wait till, episode 2. I almost feel like they should have aired 2 episodes and kind of, delve more into the pouvoir stuff in episode 2. I feel like they could have done a double premiere here. I really do. But then, of course, it would only have been 5 weeks, and they're trying to stretch it out as much as they can, so, I understand that, of course. But, yeah, this episode was, it was fine, but yeah. So anyway, let's go over this episode from beginning to end, kind of discuss everything about it. So, we pick up with Daryl. He's training Laurent. We, of course, see that he's been training him for about 2 weeks. So, if you're curious, yes, we do not see any resolution on when Laurent was waving at Daryl or the walkers that were surrounding them or the, kind of torn decision that Daryl was kind of in at the end of the Season 1 finale. We don't see any of that. He's just back at the nest. He's training Laurent. He's been training Laurent for the last, 2 weeks, and that's basically the end of it. Now, Lozang wants to speak with Daryl, and he kind of informs the group that apparently Falou and Emile and some of the others have been taken from the pouvoir, right? By the pouvoir. And obviously that kind of gets some tension going in the nest because now it's like, okay, how do we get them back, right? And that's kind of their plot this episode. Now, you've got Lozang that kind of tells Daryl that he doesn't want him training Laurent anymore because he feels like he's being too violent. Now, Lozang feels like, to me, like a character that's going to be a bit of a threat this season. He kind of feels like a threat from within. I feel like he's going to be a problem for Daryl, and I feel like they're kind of, setting that up, I feel like. Could be wrong, but I feel like that's where it's going, especially when he was talking to that one lady later on in the episode. That's kind of what I was feeling like that was going to be like. But anyway, you've got Daryl that, of course, talks to Isabel, talking about how he's, keeps thinking about the people he left behind, wondering if they're still thinking about me and stuff like that. Now, a few other things. We actually take a huge break from Daryl after that. We don't see him until way later in the episode, in like the last 10 minutes, which was kind of disappointing. I wanted to see a little bit more of Daryl this episode than what we actually got, but we did get a really cool scene, which again was shown in a sneak peek, so I wasn't too blown away by this. But you had a scene where basically Daryl has the gun. They're sitting there waiting, but then the explosive doesn't go off, right? So then they're just like, oh shoot, well, let's retreat. Daryl has another idea. He's like, I'm going to shoot at Janae's vehicle. I'm going to get them now, and we're going to get Falou, and we're going to get Emil, and we're going to get them all right now. And that's exactly what they did. And I thought Daryl was pretty badass. And it was a good shootout, too. It was a really, really good shootout. One main problem I have, because it was a really great scene. The scene where Daryl has Madame Genet dead to rights, right there in his sights. I was like, okay, this is cool. But obviously in the trailer, we know that she got away. So I was sitting there, I was like, okay, how are they gonna, maneuver around this, to save her life, because obviously they gotta come up with some kind of plot convenience for her to, survive. Which, it's funny, as a writer myself, I get it. You gotta protect your villains sometimes, even in the worst scenarios. I get it. But the way they did it was so bad. It was so painfully, oh my god, plot armor moment. It was not even funny. He has the gun, he's loading it. She's like, I should have known, He's pointing the gun towards her. Right there. And then an explosive goes off in the background. He sits there, he's chilling, he's looking back. He looks back 2 seconds later, she's gone. I mean, at least if that was me, I'd have been okay, she couldn't have gotten far, I would have at least checked down the road, maybe checked left and right, and then I would have been all right, she did get away, keep going. Daryl just stands there and he's just oh, okay. How the frig did she get away? It was an explosion. They were standing, right there. It was very obvious they were intentionally keeping her alive. But I'll say this, it's not I found the scene a little bit ridiculous, and I know a lot of early reviewers were saying, this episode, there's a lot of plot convenience. Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see it. The earlier reviewers were not wrong about that. She got, some kind of fairy dust or something and poofed her way out of there, man. I don't know what the hell happened. So, yeah. Anyway, that's besides the point. Now, the main plot of this episode is with Carol. She basically is riding the bike. She goes to the auto shop, and she confronts them, basically. She's just look, okay, I have a buddy of mine, where is he, And she kind of tricks them at first, makes it sound like she's looking for Mick, so, oh, are you Mick's lady, And she basically takes the crossbow when they're distracted. She's like, okay, where's my friend? And they tell her the truth completely, right? I mean, she knocks one of them in the nose. They, of course, knock her back. You get the arrow that gets stuck in the bike, so now the bike is ruined, and they get the truth, right? They're just yeah, look, there was this guy, we were trading walkers with him and stuff, and it's the only boat we've seen in years. He came from France, and Daryl's on that boat, And she's just yeah, no, you really want to mess with me. She doesn't believe it at first, And she basically, after a little bit, kind of decides, she's okay, that's the most information I'm going to get. So she takes a car for herself, because the bike is ruined now, and she's like, oh yeah, by the way, a mile up the road, your buddy Mick is in the trunk, He's probably got about an hour's worth of air, give or take, And she rides off. And she looks out into the ocean, basically, and she's just sitting there, wondering, how the hell that's going to happen, Now, speaking of convenience, once again, we get the scene after the intro where you see Carol, she's wandering around, you got, the music playing and stuff, you got, the cassettes and stuff, and she's sitting there, and she's, she can't get the cassette out, so it's, this inspirational, talk or whatever that she's listening to. And anyway, she gets out, she basically crashes her car because of this music or whatever, and she sees this plane. And this plane just so happens to be flying around. So she does some investigating. She basically goes on this guy's property. And this is when we get introduced to Ash. Now, Ash I thought was a cool character. And I liked the story of him where he kind of, he takes her in. She's snooping around. He brings her in. He lets her stay the night. Stuff like that. And we see this place, being operated on a generator and stuff. It's kind of in and out, though. It's not working the greatest, that type of thing. And one day, basically, she kind of notices the plane, and she sees that he's going out on these rides and stuff. And, he basically explains that the reasons why he takes these plane rides is because he likes to feel maybe the old world is still a thing. If he's flying around, he doesn't see all the drama that's going on land, which I thought that was a pretty cool line. But anyway, we kind of get his secrets that are revealed this episode. He keeps going to this, greenhouse or whatever. You got, this, scene where he's going to visit his son, and you kind of reveal that his son is kind of, what's mixed them all up and stuff, and his son liked planes, right? And that's why he flies planes around and stuff like that. And Carol, basically one day, kind of while he's out there on a mission, she goes to investigate to see what's going on. And you've got Carol that goes in. There's a bunch of walkers that get let into his property and stuff, and they basically kind of ruin the place, right? And it doesn't hurt his son's grave. Avi is his name. But, it's kind of the principle of it, and he's like, are you serious? Like, no, like, don't tell me, like, it didn't ruin anything. It did, And he's angry at Carol for that, of course, and, he says, he's like, yeah, you can stay the night, but after that, get out, So she lies to him. Basically, she says that Sophia is the reason why she's deciding to go to France. That's basically the idea. And, apparently her and Ed took this trip to Europe and stuff like that. And it's kind of like this thing where she's acting like, yeah, Sophia could still be around and Ed could still be around and stuff like that. She's lying to his face so that he'll take her there, basically. Which, I don't know how necessary it was to lie to him, but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do, you know what I mean? But she lies to him. She tells him that it's Sophia that she's looking for, and she was 12 the last time she saw her, so, she's not even 100% sure if she's still alive. Which, speaking of Sophia, you do get a minor scene in this episode that's kind of a callback to season 2, where she's kind of like standing in front of this barn and stuff like that. It's a really quick scene. It's nothing too major. I thought it was all right, but it kind of just gets the point across, you know what I mean? But anyway, you've got that. Basically, they kind of decide to partner up. He goes back in the truck, he gets her, and he's like, we got work to do, So she kind of asks him, like, she's like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yep, we're going to do it. And the power basically goes out in this guy's place during, like, the storm that picks up, so he has to go. And I found this a little bit plot convenient. Literally, one of the propellers gets hit by a freaking walker while they're trying to take off in this plane. I'm like, yeah, you would totally be able to fly to France in a plane that is in that condition, sure. But anyway, they basically go off, and they fly off to France, and he's sitting there saying it's going to be okay and all this stuff, and the episode just ends. And I was like, okay, it's all right, but I don't think it was like anything too special, you know what I mean? I don't think it was anything all that captivating. I'm not really hooked for the season yet. The trailer for episode 2 looks fantastic, so I am looking forward to that episode. But, this episode for premiere, it was all right. You had the Daryl stuff with the pouvoir, they get Falou back, we kind of knew they would. And then you got Carol getting a ride to France, and we don't even see them land. It's, that's about it. We learn about Ash. I liked Ash as a character. I thought he was good. But that's about it. That's about all I got. It's like a 7. It's, it's pretty good. It's got its silly moments, like where Janae gets away and stuff. You got your silliness, but it was, it worked. It was pretty good, but I'm expecting a bigger bang next week. I really do. I'm hoping next week is a little bit more like, oh my god, like this is good, because I didn't really get that. I thought this was just passable at best, so... Anyway, that's my thoughts on the premiere. Let me know your thoughts down below, of course. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, be sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. Be sure to follow me on Dan's The Walking Dead Reviews. No scum, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys very soon for my videos of The Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist. Beat world gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a street fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shed a TV light.